Welcome to My People, the podcast. I'm your host, Anna Stewart, and today we have a super amazing special guest. We have Miss Lashana West. Thank you so much for being here, Lashana.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I want you guys to know that this woman is so amazing. I met her at a business retreat last year, and then we reconnected at a business retreat this year. And like from the time I met her, she was super supportive, super knowledgeable, just like and challenges you and like really wants to know how you're doing. So I know she's an amazing business coach, and I'm excited to have her here on the podcast. So Lashana has worked in the mental health field for 20 years as a therapist. And through that experience, she also moved up into working in administration, where she focused on restructuring, training, staff development, quality assurance. And through all of those years and all of those experiences, she brought those together and kind of found a new niche for herself in which she's bringing the best of both worlds together in coaching and in therapy. And now Lashana is a business therapist and a mindset strategist. And so she is going to talk to us today about business, as how we can run our businesses as recovering people pleasers, and how we can take care of our mental health while doing so that we are not doing too much and overextending ourselves. So again, thank you so much for being here, Lashana.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yes. Okay, so what inspired you to become a business therapist?
Yeah, so I would have to go back to the foundation of me being a traditional mental health therapist. I got my master's in clinical counseling. I specialize in working with at-risk youth. And the reason why I chose that population is because I believe that we all were kids and youth before we were adults. And if I could reach them sooner, then that would help them to change the trajectory of their life. And so working with at-risk youth and at-risk families, I fell in love with it to where it didn't even seem like work. I would get up every day, motivated just to go kill it and engage with the youth. And I'm very down to earth and fun. So they really, really related to me to where they respected the feedback that I would give them in regards to their behavior, but they also were trusting enough just to hang out, have fun. And that's literally how you build relationships to break through anyone's mindset or mental blocks. So I did that for 15, 20 years. And then most recently moved into business therapy, where I work with entrepreneurs. In my opinion, it's kind of the same stuff, but it's just a different kind of focus. So instead of me focused on unresolved trauma and the childhood stuff, we focus on the current mindset blocks that's stopping them from launching and growing their business. So in short, I just literally use my transferable skills and continue to make my own lane from there.
That is amazing. What lights you up about the work that you do?
Man, the thing that lights me up is that I can start talking to someone at 5 o'clock and they're down and they feel depleted and they feel defeated, to 5:05, 5:10, I'm slowly seeing them come around and increasing their confidence and increasing their self-reflection to where it's literally like a quantum leap right in front of me, just because of I use a strategic therapeutic approach that helps them to feel seen, heard, and safe. And then they're able to make that progress right before my eyes. That really excites me.
That is amazing. So when you're coaching your clients, you kind of mix your skills as a therapist and a coach, and it brings it together.
Most definitely.
That is really amazing. Okay. Have any of your clients or yourself ever struggled with people-pleasing tendencies?
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone has struggled with it, because at the end of the day, we're taught to do what others say. We're taught to do the right thing. And in our mind, I have to do what they're asking me because that's the right thing. But the catalyst for that is making sure you have clear boundaries, because some people will take advantage of your willingness and of your quote unquote compliance to serve them more than serving you. And so when I think of people pleasing, I think of growing up in a dysfunctional home. Both of my parents were addicted to crack cocaine. They've both been clean for over 5-10 years now, thank God. But when you grow up in that kind of dynamic, the manipulation, the unknowing gaslighting, now that I know what gaslighting is, you literally create this people-pleasing mentality, which then, if it's not addressed, will follow you into young adulthood, and so on and so forth. So like right now, I have to continue to set boundaries with my mom when she's pulling on me over and over and over again when it's not even necessary. That's a part of the breaking the cycle of people pleasing. Instead of me saying, yes, you can borrow this money, or yes, I'll come over, or yes, I'll go figure XYZ out, I'm saying, no, you can do it. Here's the resources. And someone's not going to be happy. Either the person that you are setting boundaries with is not going to be happy, or you people please, and then you end up not being happy because you end up going down this negative spiral. I believe that we come first. So instead of me worried about not making people happy, I got to worry about making myself happy.
Oh, I love that. That is powerful. How did you get to that space? Like both in business and in family, like how were you able to come to a place where you let go of those people pleasing tendencies and were like, no, I'm gonna let them be upset and I'm gonna be happy?
Yeah, honestly, I think it starts with the family stuff first, because we act and be as CEOs and business owners because of our past, our upbringing, and what we know. And I think I started setting the boundaries with the family stuff once I started going to school, learning more about mental health and the function of people's behavior, why they do what they do, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's a pattern of behavior. So whether someone is on the aggressive side, if you may, of wanting everything from you, that's a learned behavior. Where did they get that from? Why do they do that? How long have they been doing it? And so it helped me to build empathy, because I believe that everyone wants to do the right thing, but everybody doesn't know how or have the motivation to do the right thing. And so once I became empathetic of the other person, I had to also become empathetic of myself and then make a decision. Who's going to win? Who is worth more? And I don't know about you, but I am. And it's so funny because I just posted something. I said, protect your peace at no cost. No one is exempt. I'm sorry, at any cost. No one is exempt. And when I say no one, I mean no one. From your parents, your kids, your significant other, your supervisor, your clients, your freaking puppy. No one is exempt.
Not the puppy.
Your puppy too, and your cat. Because this is the thing. I have done so much work that I'm not going to relapse because of someone else.
Wow.
And so then we move into business. If I'm already doing my work because of family stuff, because of Lashana being the best woman, the best mom, when the business comes, you're going to have established core boundaries and core values that you literally let bleed on the positive side into your business. But the problem comes when you're not setting those boundaries, you're not doing your inner work, and you have a business, and then that bleeds on the negative side into your relationships with your clients. And you have business hours, but they call or text you at 9 p.m. and you're like, hey, how's it going? All perky and stuff, when you know you're tired.
Yes.
Because what you're doing is you're teaching them to continue with that unwanted behavior.
Yes.
And then the cycle just continues.
I really, really like how you said that it starts at the family and then goes into the business. Like, I feel like that's probably going to be like a aha moment from some people that are listening, because they're probably trying to focus on creating the boundaries in the business, not realizing that they need to start at home first. So that's
Most
really
definitely.
powerful.
Most definitely. And I'll give you a perfect example. If you have toddlers, right, and you're not training and parenting your toddlers effectively at home, meaning, no, you can't go eat on the couch. No, you can't go run outside. No, you can't write on the wall. And they're running amok at home. But then you take them to Target or McDonald's. What makes you think they're going to change their behavior because they're going somewhere else? They're going to do what they are accustomed to and what they've learned at home. They're going to run outside. They're going to take a marker and go right on the wall at McDonald's. They're going to be doing all the things that they do at home. So we have to catch it while it's small and address it in, I will say, safe and neutral environments. So then when we move into the next opportunity, it's normalcy instead of abnormalcy.
Ooh, I love that. And a perfect example too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what are the top mistakes that you kind of see recovering people's pleasers make in business?
Honestly, that scarcity mentality. If I
Mm,
tell this client that they shouldn't call me at 9 p.m., they're going to get mad and they're going to want to leave my business. They're going to leave my services. Um, if I don't oblige to them negotiating my rate, then I'm not going to make any money, right?
yeah.
If I appear to be too restrictive or have my boundaries too high, then they're not going to want to work with me. They're going to want to work with someone else. All of that is scarcity thinking. It's a feeling and not a fact. And I always say feelings matter, but they're not facts.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is who is in alignment with your expectations and your boundaries are going to have some similar, and it's going to make sense. It's not going to be like, well, what? Well, what? They're like, okay, yeah, no problem. Great. So we got to stop worrying about the aftermath and the unknown and that scarcity and just focus on serving in an excellent capacity, because this is the thing, boundaries are healthy.
Yeah.
Boundaries establish standards and expectations. And when you have them, it also makes people learn how to treat you.
Yes, I love that. And definitely feel like I can totally relate to that because the scarce as a recovering people pleaser in business, the scarcity mindset that I sometimes struggle with is really about control. Like I've been getting lots of messages this week about surrendering to the unknown.
Right.
And a lot of us recovering people pleasers, like a big part of it is like we want to control, we want to protect ourselves, we want to know exactly what's going to happen. And so we
Mhm.
try to bend ourselves and shape ourselves to manipulate things to give us a false sense of control. So that's
Yeah.
powerful.
And trust and believe, just because I teach this doesn't mean that I'm exempt from struggling with it. And I love that we're recovering, because you will be triggered and you will have opportunities to revert back, and you have to remember how far you've come. It's an ongoing process. I might meet somebody tomorrow where I'm like lenient on my boundaries because of certain variables, and whether I'm stressed or whether the bank account is low or whether they have high esteem, I might throw everything that we're talking about out the window. But what happens is when we lay down at night, we lay down with ourselves, and our conscience will start to eat at us,
Yeah.
right? To where you're going to have to go back and establish those boundaries. So the question is, proactively or reactively, pick your poison.
Mm,
I prefer proactive,
yes.
because what it does is sets both of us up for success, and you don't have to go and clean up as much junk that you've left on the table.
Thank you for that vulnerability too, because
Mhm.
if y'all don't know, Lashana is a very successful, wonderful, amazing business coach. And so it's really nice for us, wherever we are in our journey as we listen to this, to remind ourselves like we can reach success and we don't have to become this perfect person who never struggles with their boundaries.
Yeah,
Like it's the constant reminder. So thank you for that vulnerability.
you're welcome.
What are some tips that you can kind of give us on what we can do to kind of avoid these mistakes in business?
Yeah. So number one is give yourself grace. Um, I don't even know if it's avoid, I would say cope with, because no matter how much training, how much work you've been doing, who you're working with, no matter how much money you spent on someone to help you with XYZ, you're still human, right?
Yeah.
And you're still going to potentially slip up, even if it's not verbally or formally, it might be here. But your thoughts lead to actions, your actions lead to the character of who you are. I'm surfacing this from the Gandhi quote, and you have to give yourself grace, because perfection is not realistic. And after giving yourself grace, you have to remember who you are
Mm,
and build that self-worth and that self-confidence every single day. Because I think when it comes to people pleasing, it stems to your lack of confidence and your lack of worth and clarity of who you truly are. Because if you were clear on that, no one would be able to intertwine or intercede into what you're doing, right?
yeah.
Um, and then lastly, what I would say is make sure that you surround yourself with a positive environment of others who can continuously support you and also affirm who you are and what you're doing, because hurt people hurt people. And, I was talking about the empathy part. Most people aren't even doing it intentionally. They're not aware and they don't care.
Yeah.
And when I say they don't care, I'm not saying they don't care about you. They don't care about themselves. So they're doing the best that they can to survive. So we can't take it personal.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they have their own stuff going on and don't even have the capacity to consider what you got going on and how things are affecting you. Because they don't have that empathy, essentially. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the last part you mentioned, as far as surrounding yourself with great people, I leads me to thinking about networking and how important networking is in business.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell y'all, oh my gosh, like the first year I went to Impact Weekend, it was a struggle. But last year or this year, when I went to Impact Weekend, I had a lot more confidence and it was a lot easier to network. And I definitely made some quality connections that way. So I definitely believe in the power of networking. But like me and like all of us, sometimes recovering people pleasers can struggle with the social anxiety. They might be really introverted. They might be so wrapped up in saying the right thing and worrying about what other people are going to think about them, especially if they're in the room when they feel like, oh, everybody has their life together and I don't. So what kind of tips can you kind of give people to network because of the importance of creating that community in business?
Yeah, well, number one, I just want to highlight what you said. The first year I went, it was a little sketchy. The second year I went, I was more comfortable. Repetition is key. If you do something once and it's uncomfortable, you have to do it again and again and again and again and again, to where it's normalcy and you're not even thinking about it, right?
Right.
And you have to expose yourself and do the thing that you're afraid to do at whatever capacity works for you. So I'm not saying go on stage and sing your heart out.
Which Lashana did and crushed it.
But maybe the first time you sit in the back, the second time you sit in the middle of the area, the next time you sit up front, the next time you're on stage, you take baby steps and pace yourself. Repetition is key. And then I believe that it's important for you to reward the small efforts. So maybe the first day you didn't talk to anybody, but the second day you introduce yourself to someone. And then the third day, someone introduced themselves to you because they noticed that you were more social, right? The universe will literally do what you ask once you do it. Had you not gone to Impact Weekend, you wouldn't have met the connections and relationships that you met, and everything would not have progressed, right?
Yeah.
So in short, repetition, taking baby steps, and rewarding the small milestones.
I love that. That is really powerful. And I definitely agree. I would just add, I love the 4 agreements and the part where it says like the way people respond to you is 90% about them and not about you. So like don't take things personally. Like that's the most important thing. If someone does respond to you in a rude way, like be like, what's going on with them? But they don't even know you. So how can it be about you? It's not about you.
Yeah, that's totally key. I'm struggling with something, well, not struggling, working through something like that right now. I'm like, Lashana, don't take this personal. This is not about you. However, I have a plan if I do need to take things deeper and have a conversation, because a lot of times we say, oh, it's not about me, don't take it personal, but then we become passive.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
So you still have to keep a pulse on it and address it so you could be assertive with your communication and not passive, which turns into people pleasing.
I'm so glad you brought that up because now I want you to share more, because also in business, you're definitely having to have conflict, like whether it's like you hired someone to create a website for you and they're not doing any time, or like whatever else is going on. Recovering people pleasers do not like conflict. So what are the tips for like people you hire, people you're engaging with, that conflict resolution in business?
Yeah, so I think it's important to document and keep notes of certain things. For example, if I hire someone and their expectation is them to do XYZ this amount of times per week, first week it doesn't happen. Okay. You can have a friendly prompt. Hey Keisha, you were supposed to do XYZ. Can we talk about what's going on? Oh, my bad, I forgot. Okay, the next week, monitor that. If the same thing happens, you have to up the ante. It goes from a prompt to maybe an email. Hey, we talked last week about da da da. I noticed this week the behavior is continuing. Let's chat. You have to have progressive conversations. And sometimes it's not even a friendly prompt, it's immediate, you got to go, depending on how severe the behavior is. But what happens is we become passive aggressive because either A, we don't know what to say, we don't know how to say it, or we just are scared to say it. And you have to figure out what the function of that behavior is so you can address it on what works for you. So maybe you're not good with the verbal communication, you send an email, you send a message in the whatever communication line, maybe it's the phone call instead of a face-to-face Zoom, but it has to be had, otherwise the behavior will continue. And not only is it working your nerves, it's working your bank account because they're not doing what they were paid to do. So, I think it just really depends on what the capacity is. But the biggest thing is having hard conversations, even when it's hard.
Yeah.
And that's why I love practicing and catching things while it's small. You don't wait until 2 months later where nothing's done. You catch that stuff on day 4. So you might not even get to month 2 because you've been able to establish your boundaries, your expectations, and they get to choose if they want to step up to it or not. So most times people coach themselves out of the opportunities that I have because I don't even have to tell them it's not a good fit. I'm so consistent and persistent with, and then when I say communication, guys, that doesn't mean only talk to them when things are going wrong. There has to be continuous communication on the praise, the empathy, what's going well, to where when something's going wrong, it's not like, oh God, here we go again. It's like, you know what, Lashana, you're right. The conversation is so fluid because you have open communication line.
That is amazing. And I love that. I feel like you are dropping some major gems because that's like such a great point. And that's also like I think something a lot of us recovering people struggle with is we do wait until it becomes this huge big ball. And then you're just overwhelmed and like
Yep.
you're going more into avoidant.
Yep.
So really kind of chipping it away and like having that discipline and that habit and structure of being like, okay, I'm going to start this from the beginning so that it
Yeah.
never gets this big.
Yeah, and that's all from my mental health background. Working with at-risk youth, there was a teaching model. It's called common sense parenting, but I use it in everything that we do. Like, for example, we got to be specific with our communication too. So if a kid is doing something, you don't say, "Stop doing that." Hey, right now you're knocking on the table. It's really loud and it's distracting me. Like you're telling them what they're doing, you're telling them how it's impacting you. And then, girl, there's a whole nother step on asking for acknowledgement, the whole 9. And so, it's funny how when we learn these different things, you have all the skills that you need. You just have to figure out how to modify and use them to meet your needs.
Totally. Thank you for that. So what is kind of like, I just want to transition back to you and kind of your overall mission.
Sure.
What is the kind of legacy that you want to leave behind in the work that you do?
Yeah. So my ultimate goal is to help entrepreneurs, CEOs, and leaders know that they can heal while building.
Mm.
Healing from unresolved trauma, healing from people pleasing, healing from a broken relationship, healing from not feeling worthy, healing, whatever that means to you, I feel is a journey. And most people think that, oh, I can't be a coach, I can't be a therapist, I can't be a confidence coach because I'm not confident. As long as you are at step 2, you can help people who are at step 0 and step 1.
Yeah.
As long as you are at step 1, you can help people who are at step 0 or negative. You don't have to be at 99 to help somebody who's at number 2.
Mm.
And once you understand that, I feel like we'll have so many more people serving in their gifts and in alignment with what they truly want to do, because they're not afraid of, am I worthy enough? Am I good enough? Can I really do this? Yes, you can.
Absolutely.
And you can do it now.
That is so beautiful. So is that something that inspired you from your own personal experience, or kind of how did this kind of legacy and mission come about?
I would say once I got into the work and seen a theme
Mm,
of the blocks and the gaps that most of the entrepreneurs I were working with struggle with, it helped me to get deeper into what I do. But the initial piece of me getting into confidence and clarity, because that's what I started at first, when I didn't really know my true niche, or I didn't really know what I truly want to do. I knew I could help people build confidence, believe in themselves, and get clear on what their gifts were. I think it kind of stemmed from me, because at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know. And I kind of floundered around in corporate, different jobs, not really knowing what I want to do until I found the thing that I was really, really good at. But I didn't know I was good at it until I actually made the decision and built the courage to do it. Right. And
yeah.
so the biggest thing for me is helping people to build the courage to make a decision. You know what? I work at Burger King, but I really love working with kids. And I'm going to volunteer for that youth pastor opportunity so I can work with kids. And then they start working with the kids and they see that they're a rock star at it, to where the church wants to hire them full time and they don't even need Burger King anymore. Right. And
Yeah.
then other people see how dope they are. And the parents are like, you know what? Can you work with little Tommy one-on-one? How much do you charge? To where now they got a side business working with youth, just because they took that volunteer opportunity. So it's a domino effect, but you have to make the first step to do it.
I hope y'all didn't miss that, because that is like 100% the thing. And I can tell you from experience, because Lashana knows I'm still at the beginning of my business, but it really is about taking the first step. It's the scariest thing to do, but oh my God, when you do it, when you finally have that courage to take action, because that's
Yep.
the only way things change. Like, we can think about it, ruminate it, talk about it all we want, but things don't change until we take action.
That's
And
right.
I love that. That's beautiful, because you take that action, and like you said, it's a domino effect. And then, like you said before, the universe, the world, it just starts opening up for you. And like,
Yeah.
you just end up in rooms. Like, I would have never met Lashana. We would never have been on this podcast together if I didn't take the step and was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna just take this step and figure it out. And so you don't even have to know. Like, that's another really good point. Like, you just need to take action, just take a step. So I
Yep.
like that. Thank you. Okay, so we're coming towards the end. I feel like you have shared so many amazing good things. I so appreciate you being here. How can all of the recovering people pleasers who are ready to take that step and start their business and move forward, or, continue working in their business and set up those boundaries that you were talking
Yep.
about, how can they get in touch with you?
Most definitely. So I am Lashana West on all things social. And if anything resonated and you want to connect with me one-on-one, I have a complimentary clarity call. And all you have to do is DM the word breakthrough on Instagram, and you'll get a link to schedule that call where we can chat and kind of learn more about you, your story, and what help you need, to see if we're a good fit. I also have my own podcast called Accountability on Demand Podcast. It's on YouTube. And, just connect with me on social. I am an open book. My DMs are always open.
That is amazing. I'm so happy. I will also include all of that in the show notes. And just one more thing, I actually forgot. This is totally my fault. So one of the things that's really important to me with this podcast is that we don't just give information, but we also encourage listeners to take action. So at the end of every episode, I always give like a little homework assignment, or like a way that they can take a next step. Can you provide us with like one small step we can take today or this week to kind of help us move forward?
Yeah, I want to remind everyone to be kind to your mind and pour into yourself, because this might sound like a cliche, but ain't nobody coming to save you.
Yes.
Nobody is going to care more about you than you, right? And what I mean by that is kind of what we talked about earlier. everyone's already dealing with their own stuff. So it's not that they don't love you, it's not that they don't care. They have their own stuff to deal with. And so with that being said, take great care of your mind, take great care of yourself, pump yourself up, be your number one cheerleader, say your affirmations, date yourself, go for a walk, read for pleasure, pour into yourself, spoil yourself, put yourself first, and then your cup will automatically overflow for everyone else. So the only prompt that I have is every single day, do something kind for you. And it doesn't always mean go get your nails done, hair done, everything did. It literally could be unplugging from social. It could be going to your favorite restaurant and having lunch by yourself, decompressing instead of doing all the things. It could be asking for help, asking your partner to pick the kids up instead of you doing it just so you can breathe. So find a small moment to just pour into yourself instead of worrying about everyone else. That is my accountability task.
I love that so much. And also do it. And I don't want to hear you don't have time, because that's
Yep.
what everybody says. I don't have time to take care of myself. Yes, you do. I promise
Yep.
you do. You have 5 minutes in your day, and this is important. This needs to be your priority. So make time for it. Yes.
Yep. Make time for it, period.
Oh, I love this. Okay, thank you so much for being here, Lashana. I'm so glad we got to connect on this. And listeners, I will catch you next time.
Bye, guys.